Hi everyone, Life Coach Carissa here. As I'm sure many of you are already know or have seen today is International Women's Day. And I wanted to just take an opportunity on a day to celebrate women, to record a message to all the women out there. And I'm actually going to aim my message more specifically towards mothers on this day of honoring women. So I hope that you'll stick with me for a short video of some inspiration, stories, and knowledge that I think would be huge for us as mothers to learn about. So, first, let's start with some basics, right? Because I was curious. International Women's Day was actually founded on March 8th, 1911. So that is 113 years. This day has been set aside to honor the labor movement in the early 20th century, where women advocated for better working conditions, suffrage, and women's rights. And it made me think about how far we've come and how sometimes there still are people and places and situations where more growth would be appreciated in our world. So, we always have more work to do, but I'm very appreciative of how far we have come. So, for me, as a woman and a mother, I'm extremely proud of how strong women are, especially the moms in this world, the amazing acts of strength, sacrifice, and love that they put out into the world every single day. I work with a lot of moms in the work that I do with coaching, and I'm just like always in awe of how much we are able to accomplish. It's just such a beautiful thing. So, before I share this next part, I really want to make it clear that I value men in this world tremendously. I believe that women and men paired together can do amazing things in the world. A big one of those is the creation of a human being. So I am not sharing any of this in any way to bash men or say that they aren't good enough. Rather, I want to take account, the narrative in the world that really does need to be refined and changed. And so it made me think back to my own story. When I became a mother in 2001, it was literally 2 weeks after the 9/11 attacks. And I know I felt this tremendous pressure to know it all and do it all, and raise a son who is going to be polite and courteous and prayerful and does something with himself. And I felt like the world was uncertain and scary. And I had this important role of raising my son to be a loving, caring, good human being. And what I noticed is the years went by. I then had a daughter 7.5 years later. And the story that my brain told me, it sort of took on all these responsibilities. Like it blew up this being a mother into almost being superhuman. This was a story that I formed from my own childhood experiences, exposure from the world, what I picked up from other people, the narrative that's in the world. I felt immense pressure to hold it all together, to earn money, to be a contributor, and to be the emotional superglue of the family, right? The taskmaster too. And I really began thinking about like, where did all this come from? So one day I just decided to Google that question, right? Because Google knows everything. And this is how the search came up for me. I asked the question, what is the true meaning of a mother? And these were two answers that I got from two different web browsers. It said a mother is a selfless, loving human being who must sacrifice many of their own wants and needs for the wants and needs of their children. And a mother works hard to make sure their child is equipped with the knowledge, skills, and abilities to make it as a competent human being. And the second one was a mother is a caregiver, an unconditional love giver, housekeeper, cook, baker, taxi driver, psychologist, doctor, and discipliner. They are the ones who bear the burden of everything good and bad as the days grow on. They are the ones who might get left behind as they do so much they don't get as much appreciation. I mean, do you find that crazy? Like, I really wasn't expecting that. I was expecting a much more basic, simplistic definition. I was actually shocked. I'm like, okay, it's no wonder why that we try to be superhuman and we get burnt out in the process or disconnected from ourselves. Because that is the more common narrative, right? I'm like, well, these web browsers give you answers based on what's out there in the internet, right? So this is the narrative. And I was like, I used to brag and complain about how many hours I worked and then I have to take care of the kids, right? Have to. And I used to look at it as like either this burden or a badge of honor. I would kind of shift between those two extremes. And it's like we are stuck living in this world as it is with this worldview that has this expectation on us as mothers. And I was like, it really is time that we redefine what being a mother is. We may not be able to change the world, but let's start with ourselves, right? Giving ourselves space to be exactly whatever we are, not setting the bar for ourselves to be superhuman, not put so much pressure on ourselves that we sacrifice who we really are and what we enjoy as individuals. And then I'll tell you, I don't have it here in front of me, but if I remember when I Googled what is the true meaning of a father, it was that very basic, simplistic definition. It was like a man who has um, sired a offspring. Like it was like very basic. And I was just like, okay, wow. Like that is the two sides of this extreme narrative that's in the world. And I think it's wrong. I just don't think that that's how we should look at our men and fathers, right? So I then thought about like what are the basic needs of a child, right? Because as moms, we build it up into this superhuman story that we tell ourselves that we have to do. And I was like, okay, what are the basic needs, right? They need to feel safe and sound with their basic, survival needs met, which is shelter, food, clothing, medical care, protection from harm. Like that is a very different view from this story, this narrative that we fall prey to, right? So it's like, when will we stop going along with that worldview and honor like a more true, healthy meaning for us? And I really believe that we should love and respect the men in our lives and treat them like the powerful and impactful individuals they are capable of being. I don't like this narrative that kind of gets us moms thinking that they're not capable. Like, I really think we need to relook at that. I used to think my husband couldn't give baths because he wouldn't do it right. And he can't pack their lunches because he won't do it right. And he can't make their doctor's appointments or keep track of their medications when they're sick because I do it better, right? Like I picked up these beliefs somewhere. And then as they're repeated over and over and over again, I believed it to be very true. And so where did that end up leading me? Well, I was one stressed out, overwhelmed, controlling mother who was snapping at her kids and her husband rather than being able to be calm enough about what was actually happening in my life at the moment. So why not let it start with us, right? Let's stop telling the story that our husbands and fathers don't know how to do things and that they won't do it right. Let's ask them to do it and be okay when maybe it doesn't look the same as when we do it, right? Let's respect our own needs at the same time that we do everyone else, right? I hear so many moms say they don't have enough time. This is a narrative that we are creating from our circumstances and what we hear in the world, and we are repeating it like it is fact. But the fact is, if you get so run down and sick, guess what? The things will get done that need to get done, right? I want to see a future where moms are less stressed and less superhuman. And that starts with all the tiny decisions that we make each and every day to give ourselves some time to reflect on what is most important and how we can take better care of our physical and mental health. It is so important that you put a priority on what you need as a woman and a mother. We need to question this narrative that we have been sticking by and ask ourselves, what if there was another way to look at this? What would it look like if I split more of the responsibilities? What if I brought my partner, my husband, my spouse in and I said, hey, this is what I do. I want to make sure we can share this responsibility. I know you're going to maybe do it different than me, and I'm going to do my best to be okay with that, right? What would that look like for our kids to see more of that shared responsibility? What pattern of narrative and behavior could we start to shift if we took some responsibility and accountability over it, right? Those Google and the other web browser definitions disturbed me when I saw the polar opposites between the true meaning of a mother and the true meaning of a father. I don't believe that that's what this is supposed to be. And it has to start with us to change it. So ask yourself, what little things could you change today to start changing that narrative, to have it be more of a true partnership, to have it be shared responsibility, to allow you to have time for your hobbies and your things that bring you this inner peace and joy, so that you don't find yourself all these years down the road stressed out, overwhelmed, physically and mentally challenged, maybe even chronic illness coming about because of all the years of you running so fast you didn't know how to slow down. So I ask you to journal about that, right? Think about that. What could you do differently today to set yourself up for a different looking picture down the road? If your kids are small, start it now. If your kids are older and grown, you can still do it now, right? I'm sure there's still things that you could alter and change that would make that more of a shared partnership and where you could give yourself more of that time and reflection that you so desperately need. So this is what I do. I help moms transform where they are now to where they want to go. It doesn't matter what phase of motherhood you're in, what age your kids are. I have a 9-step transformation compass that I followed to transform my own life. And it's what I walk moms down so that they can get out of the root of their unhappiness. And together we can turn any misery that they have into joy, their overwhelm into peace, and their emotional dysregulation into calm. This is not too good to be true, I promise you. So if you want to learn more about me and what I do, please visit my website at lifecoachingwithcarissa.com. You'll find actually available times there where you can sign up for a complimentary session where there's no obligation. We can address any fears or apprehensions you may have about working with me as your coach. And you also find out what it could maybe bring into your life that you've been just settling for, right? All right, everyone. Happy International Women's Day and have a great day. And I will see you in a couple weeks.